So sometimes a sentence can be confusing because a modifier is either misplaced or there's nothing in the sentence that the modifier directly modifies. So first we have to know what a modifier is. A modifier is just some words that explain in more detail or describe some aspect of something that's already in the sentence, generally a noun, but it could be a verb, but generally it's going to be a noun. So be careful that the things that give more detail or more description clearly relate in the sentence to a specific thing, and it's not ambiguous at all. You don't have to guess which thing the modifier is talking about. Okay, so pause the video, try the first one, and then we will take a look at the answers. Okay, so hopefully you answered B. B includes no errors in placement or use of modifying words. So let's look at the other three. Why are they incorrect? Well, I've highlighted some keywords where you can see where there's some ambiguity or some things that are unclear about what's being talked about. So the first one says, after turning in the argumentation essay, Emily asked the tutor about her next writing assignment. So is Emily asking the tutor about the tutor's next writing assignment? Is her referring or modifying the word tutor, or does her modify the word Emily? So it's ambiguous there. Item C, finishing the essay for my English 101 class, my mom called me for dinner. So here's a case where we have an introductory phrase. It's always good to read those modifying phrases at the beginnings of sentences. And after the comma, what comes after that phrase that ends with a comma? That should be the noun the phrase is talking about. So in this case, we have finishing the essay for my English 101 class, my mom, which means in this sentence, it's saying that my mom was finishing the essay for my English 101 class. And if that's the case, we've got real problems beyond just grammar and punctuation. So make sure that your sentences say what you intend. And your introductory phrases, these modifying phrases that add detail at the beginnings of your sentences, they should be followed by the thing they're talking about. Okay, so in this case, finishing the essay for my English 101 class, I heard my mom calling me for dinner. Okay, so that's what's missing there. Item D, we have, I was finishing up an assignment on the computer, debating whether or not to send it for the tutors to review one more time. So here, the placement of the word debating right next to the word computer could indicate that the computer is doing the debating and not I am doing the debating. So be careful about the placement of the modifiers or the thing that begins the modifying phrase, debating whether or not to send it to the tutors. So be very extra careful with that. All right, let's look at the second set of questions here. Pause and see if you can answer these. Okay, so the Word program likes to give some extra help, but you still had to figure out some of them on your own. So here we have the last one was the one that is the completely correct sentence, because we have an introductory phrase after taking the test, Preston. So like we were just talking about with these introductory phrases followed by a comma, what comes right after that phrase should be the thing that that phrase modifies or talks about. All right, so problems with the first three, we have brimming with knowledge from a full weekend of studying, the test should be quick and easy to take. Is the test really brimming with knowledge from a full weekend of studying? No, I don't think the test studied at all. So we need to add the person who did the studying right after that comma and maybe rework the rest of the sentence to fit with what is intended as the meaning of the sentence. So again, we have an introductory phrase, modifying clause that should modify what follows that phrase. Okay, should make sure that the noun right after that phrase that ends with a comma is what's being talked about with the phrase. All right, item B, cell phones should be silenced while attending class. All right, so the subject of this sentence is cell phones, and we have the term or the phrase while attending class, but we don't have another subject in here. So it appears that the cell phones are attending class. Some of you might enjoy just sending your cell phones to class, especially when you don't want to get out of bed on a cold day, but you have to attend class yourself and you should silence your cell phones. So you should, this sentence really needs a different subject for this idea to work. Okay, item C, we have Sam watched a movie about William Shakespeare at school. Well, the phrase at school comes right after William Shakespeare. So we're not totally sure if Sam watched a movie about William Shakespeare while Sam was at school, or if Sam was somewhere else, maybe at home, enjoying a movie about William Shakespeare, who himself was at school. So it's unclear. That's an ambiguous modifier there. So make sure that you are saying what you're intending to say with those added details of the modifiers. They're fabulous to use because they do add more detail, but they can get tricky too. So I have here for you a link to a quiz where you can practice more on dangling modifiers. Again, this is another one from the MLA Style Center website. I encourage you to get on here, look up anything you need to look up while you're writing papers, preparing for tests, whatever you need extra information on. And of course, all the free quizzes. Be sure to practice those as you are working on preparing for any tests or writing assignments. I will add the link to this quiz in the notes for the video.